What happens when you combine elite-level fight analysis, deep historical insight, and a unique understanding of human nature? You get one of the most mind-blowing Joe Rogan Experience episodes ever.
Makes you love your child more and makes you hate, like, the foreigner more or something like that, you know?
That's exactly what happened when Darryl Cooper joined Joe Rogan recently. And trust me, this conversation went way beyond just MMA. From breaking down the Ankalaev versus Pereira fight to diving into the complexities of human conflict and cultural identity, Darryl Cooper brought a level of depth and insight that left even Joe speechless. But who is Darryl Cooper? Why does he have such a deep understanding of both fighting and history? And what makes him such a fascinating figure in the podcasting world?
Eugene McCarthy was a senator running for president, and he was like the only person in the political spectrum who was going to be available for the office of president.
Waija, stick around because today, we're diving into the key highlights from the episode, revealing 5 fascinating facts about Darryl Cooper's personal life, and uncovering what makes him one of the most unique minds in the podcasting game. So let's get into it. First, let's kick things off with the UFC breakdown, because this fight was wild. In the episode, Cooper and Rogan dissected the recent clash between Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira, and Cooper's take on it was next level. Most people saw Ankalaev's win as a technical display of strength and control, but Cooper went deeper. He pointed out that Ankalaev's real weapon wasn't just his physical skills, it was his mind. Ankalaev's ability to psychologically manipulate Pereira was the key factor in the fight. According to Cooper, Ankalaev made Pereira second-guess his actions, which is a death sentence when you're dealing with a knockout artist like Pereira. Imagine being one of the most dangerous strikers in the game, but suddenly you're hesitant, unsure. That's what Ankalaev did to Pereira, and Cooper spotted it instantly. Pereira is known for his precision and knockout power. He's the type of fighter who can end a fight with one perfectly timed punch. So for Ankalaev to make him hesitant and cautious, that's not just impressive, it's borderline unheard of. Cooper highlighted that Ankalaev's calm and calculated approach turned Pereira's aggression into a weakness. Most fighters try to match Pereira's intensity, but Ankalaev took a different approach. He slowed the fight down, controlled the pace, and forced Pereira to fight on his terms. Cooper pointed out that it's not just about skill, it's about understanding the psychology of your opponent. Ankalaev didn't just fight Pereira, he controlled him mentally. And that's why the fight played out the way it did. This wasn't just a battle of strength, it was a battle of minds, and Ankalaev came out on top. After breaking down the striking battle, Cooper and Rogan shifted to the ground game, and Cooper had some serious insight into how jiu-jitsu has evolved in modern MMA. He pointed out that fighters today are less focused on submissions from their backs. In fact, many fighters now prioritize getting back to their feet rather than hunting for a submission. Think about how MMA has changed over the years. In the early days, submissions were a huge part of the sport. Fighters like Royce Gracie dominated using Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and being dangerous from your back was a critical skill. But today, the game has shifted. Fighters are more well-rounded, wrestling has become more dominant, and positional control is often prioritized over submission attempts. Cooper referenced Paul Craig's shocking submission victory over Ankalaev, a rare example of a modern fighter succeeding from his back. Most fighters today prefer to stand up and strike rather than risk being controlled on the ground. It's not that submissions are gone, it's just that the game has shifted toward control and positioning. Fighters today focus more on getting into dominant positions and controlling the fight, rather than looking for a risky submission that could cost them the fight if it fails. Cooper explained how the rise of elite wrestling in MMA has changed the landscape. Fighters are now focused on takedown defense and positional dominance, rather than risking a submission attempt that could backfire. It's a shift that reflects how MMA is constantly evolving, and Cooper has his finger on the pulse of that evolution. But here's where things got really interesting. Cooper isn't just a fight analyst, he's a historian, and his understanding of human conflict added a whole new dimension to the conversation. Cooper and Rogan discussed how human motivations drive conflict, and how history is rarely as black and white as people think. It's easy to label people as heroes or villains, but real life is complicated. Cooper explained that understanding why people make the choices they do, especially in times of war and crisis, requires looking at their circumstances, their environment, and their personal experiences. It's not about justifying bad behavior, it's about understanding the deeper reasons behind it. For example, Cooper talked about how soldiers in World War II often made choices based on survival rather than ideology. He pointed out that many soldiers were just trying to stay alive and protect their families, not necessarily fighting because they believed in the cause. Cooper argued that seeing history through a human lens helps us avoid repeating the same mistakes. And Rogan, who's always been big on understanding the human side of conflict, completely agreed. That's the kind of perspective you only get from someone who's done the research and lived a life outside the comfort zone. Cooper and Rogan also tackled some heavy societal issues: immigration, identity, and cultural change. Cooper reflected on how rapid societal change creates tension and identity crises for communities. When people are forced to adjust to new cultural norms, conflict becomes almost inevitable. But instead of promoting division, Cooper emphasized the importance of empathy and understanding. People aren't rejecting change because they're bad. They're rejecting it because they feel threatened. Cooper argued that understanding where people are coming from, even when you disagree, is the key to building stronger, more united communities. And honestly, that's the kind of perspective the world needs more of. Alright, now that we've covered the episode, let's get into some fascinating facts about Darryl Cooper's personal life. First, Cooper served in the U.S. Navy and was already enlisted at the time of 9/11, an experience that shaped much of his worldview. Second, Cooper is in a relationship, and he confirmed it with a sweet Instagram post on his birthday in 2019. Third, he loves hiking, kayaking, and camping. The outdoors is his escape from the intensity of research and podcasting. Fourth, Cooper isn't just an analyst. He's a true MMA fan who regularly attends UFC events and follows fighters closely. And fifth, Cooper loves progressive metal. He attended a Tool concert in 2022, which, honestly, just makes him even cooler. Cooper lives a balanced lifestyle, combining intellectual pursuits with physical activity and relaxation. He's a big reader, especially when it comes to history and leadership. He also practices mindfulness to stay grounded, which makes sense when you're dealing with the weight of human history on a daily basis. And here's the kicker: Cooper's net worth is estimated at around $600,000. Most of that comes from his successful podcasts, writing, and public speaking gigs. His podcast is listener-supported, and his growing Substack audience of over 106,000 subscribers reflects the value people see in his work. Darryl Cooper isn't just a great guest. He's a rare mind who combines intelligence, experience, and empathy. If you haven't seen the episode yet, go check it out. Trust me, it's one of the most enlightening conversations you'll hear all year. And if you like this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more JRE content, and let us know. What was your favorite moment from the episode?